maybe a couple of months, and then everything relaxed. And so the people that we know that actually know how to run their schools and can do it in a productive way immediately got involved with the Zoom training, and Jeff Smith and Stephen Oliver's group, the Mastery Martial Arts group, got everybody up to speed quickly. Even though people had never done it before, they got up to speed quickly. They stayed in contact. And do you work with that group yourself?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it,
Yeah. But they had their regular meetings and they stayed on top of everything, and so people did well. So it's just one of those things where if you were in some of what we would call the blue states now, I guess, the ones like California, New York,
Illinois,
Illinois, they just kept everything shut down, and it was. There are people that believe that their long-term objective is to eliminate the middle class, So,
right, yeah.
I mean, who knows? I know we won't debate that because some people.
Public policy stuff, I guess.
You can't say.
Right.
But, everybody with their eyes open knows what's going on around them and can sense it. And, I listened to an interview in it was done in 1985 from a man named Yuri Bezmenov, and he explained what the Soviets were going to be doing to America, and he said they were 16 years involved in the project, and from 1969 through 1985, so they had graduated 4 groups of college students. And he said, we just can't believe how fast this is going,
Right.
We feel like we're 85% of the way there to have people be in a place in their lives where we've given them the facts, and no matter how many facts you ever throw at them in the future, they're not going to change their minds. Their patriotism was not secured on the other side, so they let us do our thing. And so that's where we are today. We're listening to people with minds that have been washed clean, and so in states where the governors felt that they had the ability to do that, and they did it.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Sad.
Super unfortunate.
Yeah.
I know, guys, in the media-wise, I was getting phone calls, from people from doing different things on, before the pandemic, I had the interview with you and other people. And so guys were like, okay, I got to do Facebook Live. How do I do this? And then what I call Zoom foo, so I'll be experts of that, and how draining that was on instructors.
Sure.
But being able to open back up and choosing to open back up, again, we're supposed to be a self-governed people, we the people, that tagline across there. And this could turn into an hour and a half, discussing that.
We won't fix it here, but there's, if we believe there's more of us than there are of them, then at some point in time that will matter.
Yeah, and again, Scripture says, come let us reason, so sit down at the table and have a discussion with somebody, and see where the chips lie. I heard somebody the other day talking about this very same, type of topic, and looking at Korea. And how North Korea and South Korea, you have evidence of what a free and open society looks like as opposed to one that's like hyper-controlled.
Yeah.
But, so your schools are up and going. The battle, you've had the battle this year.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a virtual battle. It was.
No, this year and last year, Greg Ruth, whose family took over the Battle of Atlanta from us in 2013, he decided even last year in 2020 he wanted to hold it. So it was a lot of social distancing and all of that. So it was small last year, but this year he had the best year that he's had since he took the tournament over from us in 2013. So people were ready to come out, and they were ready to, say, thank you, Dr. You fill in the blank for whatever the genius is that's telling you to stay home with 2 masks on your face the week after he told you masks are useless, So all that stuff happened, and people came out, and they were successful. So it was good.
So great event. That's great to hear. On the way through, I'm just going to drop a few names. Actually, this year, sadly, some people have been affected negatively. We lost, I don't know if you remember kickboxer Rob Salazar.
Sure.
But Rob passed away and had a terrible bout with just couldn't get better from his system with COVID and stuff like that. But I went down to Birmingham, Alabama to see my see some family down there.
Yeah.
And on the way down, I stopped at, Mr. Cameraman and his brother got to meet Marty Eubanks. We stopped in and
nice.
saw Marty at his dojo, and they were thriving. He's
Yeah.
got about 150 enrolled in the school, which is right where it's where he
Yeah.
wants to be. He could be
Yeah.
larger, and but he's choosing to, you know, different people have different ideas on
Sure,
what
of
their
course.
level of success is,
Yeah.
and might not be. It's like Stephen Oliver's level
Yeah.
of success. You know, I think he's got as many dojos as I have students. Yeah, but
Well, they're doing, he and Jeff Smith are just, you know, they've been very meticulous, and they're even, you know, consulting with people outside the martial arts now using the same principles, so.
yeah, I see that they have like events at Annapolis.
Yeah, hoping to go to that one, so,
Yeah.
that's gonna be a good one.
So I kind of connect with him on the LinkedIn. I don't know how much LinkedIn you do, but I do a lot of the Facebook. But in seeing that on social media and this whole thing with the pandemic and everything, I see that kind of an awakening of your faith, or how would you address that?
Well, I guess the easiest way is the way we said it. The church I belong to is Andy Stanley's North Point Community Church.
Yeah, it's
and
just a real little church of about 20.
Well, as you know, it's huge, and he's the son of Dr. Charles Stanley,
Right.
and Andy Stanley is truly gifted. I mean, he has a way of doing the message in a way that he can really bring it home to everybody. So when I got sick with the COVID, as it turns out, my parents smoked when I was a kid in the car, and so.
Right.
You know, when I fill out stuff in the doctor's office, it says, "Are you pregnant or do you plan to be?" I say no, and it says, "Do you have asthma?" I say no. But COVID said, "Yeah, you know, you do have asthma. You just didn't know you had asthma, so we were going to attack your lungs." So that's what happened, and so I was in the hospital for 11 days. I wasn't really seriously ill except the first 2 days I was hallucinating. So they were giving me oxygen, you know, for 9 days, not ventilator type, but they were giving me oxygen, and so, you know, they mess with you around the clock, you know, and
Right.
especially at night, you know, every hour they're waking you up, and so in the middle of the night I'm reading all these great well wishes from around the world from people, and this is the way I said it on the video that we did for Andy Stanley's church, because I play like a 2.5-minute video. So
This is really big. This is like Six Flags Over Jesus kind of a, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
I go to one like that in Chicago. Yeah.
It feels like a small town church because of the way they take care of everything.
Yeah.
And have so much help
A lot
that
of
really,
groups.
really make it like home. So I'm getting all these well wishes. I'm feeling this spiritual feeling of gratitude from that. And then my friend Ben Kiker had given me a Bible in 1987. So when I was out of the hospital, every couple of years I like to clean off the dresser in my bedroom, and so I'm cleaning it off, and I open the Bible. It says 1987 November. So within 2 days he calls me and says, "Joe, we've been praying for you. We're glad you're healed," and all that. And I said, "That's wild that you call. I was just looking at the Bible that you gave me just 2 days ago." And in those 34 years since he gave me the Bible, every time I would see him, he would say, "Are you ready to be baptized?" And I would just say,
Dismiss it nicely.
Nicely. And then so he said, "So after all you've been through, are you ready to be baptized?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I am." And so for the last 15 years, I guess, one of my favorite books has been called When God Winks at You. It's
Right,
called
yeah,
God
you
Winks.
referred to God winks in
Yeah.
our last interview.
Yeah.
I like that term.
Yeah, so I said, I was selling the Bible, Ben calls, I say yes, so we go up and we have this meeting with him, and he's done this with so many people, and so he asked me a series of questions, and the main question is, are you really ready to turn your life over to the Lord? And I say yes, so we have that process, and it's a great process. So I'm driving home, and I get a phone call from Las Vegas from a man named Del Weston, who sadly we just lost during the COVID.
Oh, man.
he says, you know, Joe, how you're always talking about God winks? I said, yeah. He says, well, I've got the author of the book on the phone with me, and I think you need to talk to him. You guys need to know each other. So well, that's a bookend, you know. So I had the bookend of the well wishes in the hospital, and then everything that led up to that. So I'm speaking to the author, Squire Rushnell is his name on the phone, and so then we go in and we do the video for the church, and they get all that done, and then, you know, about 6 weeks later the baptism actually happens. But got a chance to get my family all together and so on. So
right.
Your question was, what is it like a spiritual reawakening? And it certainly was. My mother had, she heard me say the Lord's Prayer when I was 6 years old in our Episcopal church at the time. She was always very proud of that. My 6-year-old is saying the Lord's Prayer, and we didn't tell him to do it. So I had always had the faith, but Andy Stanley's sermon the first day they opened up after the COVID was, you know, Jesus didn't say to believe in him, he said to follow him. So there's a difference in believing and following.
Right.
So it's great to say, yeah, I believe, but it's something different to follow. So that was kind of the commitment that we made. So when we did the baptism, it was a commitment to follow Christ, not just believe in Christ.
Yeah, it's a little different, that whole pick up your cross and follow me thing, as opposed to, and it's, instead of like a head acknowledgement. Yeah. And then, now, your family, you got a daughter, Christina, is that right?
Christiana is my daughter, Christina is my wife.
And Christina is your wife, okay.
Yeah.
I have a Christina who's a daughter, so.
Yeah.
I'm mixing those up, and, so they attended, and you had friends, and
a
lot of friends I noticed, again, through social media. One I'll give a shout out to, my buddy Doug Yates from Xenia, Ohio. Doug's been a believer and a real encouragement to me.
Oh, nice.
And I know that he had some kind words for you, and I think there's some others that were like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally, Jeff Smith did a post, and I think we had 2,000 or 3,000 well wishes come in over the period of that week. So it's pretty powerful. Yeah, and the other God wink that happened during the course of that is just one day on my phone shows up, you know, I get all these videos, different kind of videos. So one that shows up is from a group called Elevation Worship. And it's a group of, you probably know it, a group of, you know, young people that are standing around. It looks like it is informal, but it's very, very well done. So there was a special song called Talking to Jesus, and so it took me about 6 weeks to memorize this song, but I find out that if I put it on while I'm ready to go to sleep, it goes about 8 minutes. If by 8 minutes comes, I'm out.
It's soothing.
But it just plays all night, so it plays all night, but that was another one of the God winks that happened. It was good. And the reason I say that is because my daughter, who's 23, is of course growing up in a kind of a secular world.
Right, yeah.
But those kinds of connections for her, I think, are going to be important. So she's starting to listen to Andy Stanley a lot more closely now too.
Good stuff. Yeah. Anything else you want to add as we're wrapping it up?
No. I think that pretty much covers it for me. You know, I'm probably not going to be an evangelist, in a big way, but I am going to be able to direct people as I grow in this.
Right.
You know, I'm getting ready in my lifetime for the third quarter, you know.
And you know, I saw your training after your hospitalization and stuff, and you bouncing back. And so you got a physical training, but then you got an emotional and a spiritual training. And
you know, President Trump said, you know, he calls it the China virus because it came from China. So when I said I defeated the China virus, they said, well, why would you call it the China virus? And then, of course, I have to respond that way. But yeah, it's one of those things that really helps me stay focused, obviously, and so I think I'll be able to play a role. I just don't know what that role is going to be. I have on a bucket list getting together with Dan Cathy, who's the chairman of.
Yeah, Bubba Cat, yeah, Bubba and Dan, there's a billionaire named Bubba, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, how good are you doing? But yeah, Dan Cathy's
Yeah,
from
Dan
Chick-fil-A,
Cathy,
yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's right in your area.
Yeah, so I had a black belt, named Yoel Levy, who was the head of the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, and he
Okay.
came to one of our battles of Atlanta, I wanna say it's 96, 97, and Dan Cathy came with him. And Dan said to me that day, he said, you know, you don't remember this because I was only 8 years old, but you taught me when I was at the school. We graduated from the same school. I was Georgia Military Academy, and then they changed it to Woodward Academy, so it's now the largest prep school in the United States. And so he said, but I still have my green belt that you awarded me when I was 8 years old. It's still hanging in my closet. So I said, well, I'll be talking to you at some point in time. So my bucket list is to have Dan Cathy, Chuck Norris, Ben Carson, and me in a room and talk about how Dan Cathy can help Chuck Norris spread his Kickstart Kids all over the country, because they're going to be they're already brainwashing these kids when they're, you know, the critical race theory and all the other stuff that's happening. They're brainwashing these kids when they're, you know, 5 and 6 years old. So we got to get to them early. And you know, Chuck, of course, is a great man of faith, and as is Dan Cathy, as is Ben Carson. I figure if I could get those people together, we could actually maybe do something that could change people.
Have an impact. Yeah, that's a big light to shine.
It is. It's huge, and I haven't had a chance to talk to him about it. But a good friend of mine in Orlando, Jim Flanagan, runs a huge restaurant down there, and he had Dan Cathy's daughter actually was in his restaurant just a few weeks ago. So these are all the Godwinks that are coming
It'll
together.
Conspire.
They're all coming together.
Yeah,
so.
that's it. So who's your connection with Ben Carson yet? You got one, or we gotta?
Yeah, I do.
Throw something out there.
Yeah. Bernie Carrick, of course.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and then we have another man who is big in the Republican Party, who's a professor up at one of the New York colleges. He's going to have me come up and speak to his group. So, but he and Ben Carson are pretty close.
If I could give a shout out to Curtis Sliwa, I mean, him running for governor.
Oh, yeah.
And Curtis was on the first karate magazine I bought in 1981. It was Bill Wallace was on the cover, and then in the corner I had Curtis and a couple of.
I just saw a story yesterday where a homeless man came up and tried to interrupt one of his.
I saw that
speeches.
too.
Oh, and he was
so tender-hearted to that guy, and he's gonna do right by him and stuff. Yeah, the guy's from Ghana, I think, is the same. Yeah,
I think it was one. Couldn't tell, but he put his arm around him, and you know.
Just what a sincere guy.
The guy got very emotional. You know, of course, it was really interesting. But it's anyway, dots are connecting, and you know that's kind of the period I would put on it now. Is the dots are connecting. I don't know where they're going to go yet, but I know what's on the bucket list. So.
Right. I know. I saw like one of my childhood heroes in the action industry and stuff like that was Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
And that Steve McQueen was a pallbearer of Bruce Lee's. And then when, I don't know if you know this or not, but when Steve McQueen passed away, he had
Pat Johnson.
He had a Bible in his hand that was given to him by Billy Graham.
And Pat Johnson was very, very close to him. Steve McQueen gave him several of his cars, you know, from
Bruce Lee. But Steve McQueen was really involved in Billy Graham's ministry and stuff at the end. And what a great guy. But Ben Carson, Chuck Norris, yourself, and who am I? Oh, Dan Cathy.
That's the bucket list in my head. So.
Man, hope we can.
And I mean, I donate enough. I mean, I have to eat a quart of ice cream every day, or I don't feel like I'm at home. So I'm buying a quart of Chick-fil-A Ice Dream every day. Should be worth the meeting, you know.
I remember coming back from Columbus, Ohio, and there's a Chick-fil-A in Lafayette between Chicago and Columbus, actually between Chicago and here too, that I always like to stop at. My son knows what I'm talking about now, but you know, like today's on Sundays, I'm like, all right. So,
that's the only bad part about it.
We'll go get some McDonald's. But no, he does that. He wants to honor God that way, and that's what he feels, and they do great by doing that. But, Promise me I get to sit down with you after you get those guys in the room. Is that,
I will do that.
if I can,
yeah.
God willing, the creek don't rise.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Look forward
Thank
to
you
it.
so
Yes,
much.
sir.
All right,
My
you
pleasure.
guys. Again, it's Pal Sensei Steve, Joe Corley saying thanks for watching. Bye for now.